One. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to College Basketball Insider Podcast. This is episode number 2. I'm your host, Austin Bradley, here with my good friend and co-host, Michael Johnson. How you doing this week, Michael?
I'm doing good. I'm ready for another good slate of content for the podcast. And next Monday, it's going to be real fun with the AP preseason poll coming out. So next week will be real fun. And then we got college basketball.
We do. We're here about, what would you say, probably 3 weeks out of college hoops?
Yeah, it's coming and coming quick.
You got Big Blue Madness tonight. Michigan Madness is next weekend. I'm not going because I'm not cool enough, but we got a couple house cleaning things to talk about just real fast. We're going to be undergoing a name and kind of branding change. We don't really know what we're going to do yet, though, so it might be a couple weeks. But like I was saying, like we were talking about, everybody has College Basketball Insider in their name. So we're going to kind of change that up. We're going to be a little different. We're going to pretty these things up, get better setups, and we'll be coming back to you here, hopefully next week, but if not, within the next 2 or 3. Looking a lot prettier and a lot nicer, Michael. So you're going to start us off with some college football, I hear.
Yeah,
I
got
about 2 big games tomorrow.
Top 25 matchups coming up tomorrow. Both pretty early games, but there's only 2 top 25 matchups. So we're just gonna get right into it with number 12 Oklahoma State, number 25 Texas. Oklahoma State being undefeated still. Texas coming off 2 losses, coming off their first loss in the Big 12 against Oklahoma last week. Should have won it.
Yeah,
backup quarterback comes in. Yeah, there ain't much you can do. You're not ready in that game plan for it. It happens. But I think it'll be a good one. Texas is a 5-point favorite right now.
It was 44-14 at one point, was it not?
No, God, no. Yeah, biggest comeback was 18 in that game. So 79.2% chance to win that game. So that's not too bad. But let's look at the actual stats. I think defense is going to be the big name in this. Texas averaging 44 points per game. Oklahoma State's only holding opponents to 18. That's a big margin right there. Texas is allowing 29. Oklahoma State's only getting 25. So, they should get pretty close to that point threshold that they average. If they don't, there's an issue. If they do, though, it can really help their winning chances next week. Total points per game for Oklahoma State, 378. Total points per game or yards per game, sorry. For Texas, it's 480. It's a big difference. Offense is definitely more of a big key for Texas in this game. If they can get the offense going, they have a big week, big players to watch this week, though. Quarterback for Oklahoma State, Spencer Sanders, 781 yards, 5 touchdowns, 4 picks. Bit of things you can fix up in there, but if you can get the passing game rolling, I definitely think they can win this game. Running back for Oklahoma State, Jalen Warren, 512 yards, 6 touchdowns. Also a big guy that can get rolling, no problem. Definitely something to watch. And then Tay Martin, a wide receiver, 317 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think offense has to keep pace with what their defense is doing. If their defense is getting stops, offense has to stay on the field, score points, and keep the defense off as long as they can to keep them ready to go. Looking at Texas, though, you got Casey Thompson at quarterback. He's thrown for 1,095 yards, 14 touchdowns, 3 picks. That's a big change from Oklahoma State right there.
Michael, though, can I say something?
Yes.
I don't feel like we really care about that game, do we? Not that much. Because there's another game that day that is a lot more important that I know you're a little bit more invested in.
I definitely am.
You want to tell them what it is? I figure they already know because a lot of college basketball fans are college football fans too, but you want to tell them or you want me to do it? You want me to do the honors?
You can go ahead with it.
It is number 11, and no, that is not a typo. Kentucky taking on number 1 Georgia in Athens. Michael doesn't think Kentucky's going to win. I think they might pull one out of their plate behind. I don't know. I'll tell you right now, the SEC is going to get 3 teams in the college football playoffs if Kentucky wins tomorrow.
I definitely think it's possible. Georgia, though, being a 22.5 favorite, I think is absolutely ridiculous. That's way over the top. Even if they beat Arkansas by 37 and beat Auburn by 24, it's way over the top. But my biggest keys to this game, the Georgia defense has to stop the Kentucky run game, which I think is very possible. They have to shift the momentum on the offensive line for Kentucky, who's has always been a big focal point of the Cats and the Big Blue Wall. Something definitely to watch. I think Chris Rodriguez has to have a career game against the Bulldogs. I as much as I hate to say it, my pick on this game is 38-13 Georgia.
Dude,
Though.
let me just say this right now because I feel like me and you have talked a lot. You know, you're not dumb. I don't like Kentucky. I'm not a Kentucky fan. More so in basketball, football is like whatever. But I'm actually like legitimately rooting for Kentucky. Like I'm excited as if I'm a Kentucky fan, and I don't care if they lose tomorrow.
Yeah.
Afterwards, I'm gonna be like, well, dang it, for 5 minutes, and I'll be like, all right, well, time to regroup for the Michigan game next week.
I think a lot of people are like that, though. I've definitely seen even Tennessee fans, which we know how much Tennessee hates Kentucky, wanting Kentucky to take down Georgia. A lot of people want it to happen, unless you're Georgia. But
Right.
it's going to be an interesting game. I think it should be defense oriented. I think defenses should dominate this game. I don't think it happens on the Kentucky side, though.
Well, hopefully you're wrong. I know you want to be wrong as bad as anybody wants you to be wrong, but
yeah.
So let's kind of transition over to college hoops. We got a few things to talk about today, a few things to cover. Oh, hey, first of all, Michigan has Michigan Madness now.
Yeah, well, I guess they watched the podcast.
I guess so. Juwan Howard's like, hey, these boys on here talking shit, and we got to get this going. No, I'm joking. Totally nothing to do with us, but it is something that's really exciting to see. Something that should have been happening for a long time. Now, finally happening. Meet and greet, 3-point contest, things like that. So super excited. I guess they're gonna have some kind of musical performance up there.
Yeah, it's good for the fan base, really. I mean, it gets them going right before the season.
Good for the fan base. Good for the players.
Hype thing.
Right. I'm telling you what. I watched the Big Ten Media Day, and I don't think there is a more quiet, arrogant person than Hunter Dickinson in the country. Like I've never, ever heard a player in a press conference say, "Yeah, such and such fan base is pretty freaking annoying."
Yeah, and I do have to say you don't hear that much.
And Hunter Dickinson is like just flat out, no punch or pull. He's like, I like the players, but Illinois, your fan base, like basically the shit all over Illinois' fan base.
I bet many people would want to say that right now, though.
Yeah, it was a weird year last year. I will give them that, but my opinion on that, and I'll kind of talk about that briefly. If you agree on that at the beginning of the season, that's how it works. You don't get to change your mind just because it doesn't work out in your favor. Now, I think that Illinois was probably the odds-on favorite at the beginning of the year to win the Big Ten championship last year. I don't know that a lot of people would argue that, having Ayo Dosunmu, Trent Frazier, Georgie Bichonishvili, Kofi Coburn, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think a lot of people would argue that. But whenever it doesn't go your way, you don't get to just magically change your mind.
No, yeah. They, in my opinion, they were definitely the favorites last year.
Don't lose to Mizzou. Don't lose to Mizzou, and don't lose to Minnesota, and you probably win the championship.
Yeah.
I mean, Mizzou really has nothing to do with it, but don't lose to Minnesota, and you probably win the Big Ten
I mean,
championship.
you shouldn't be losing to Mizzou anyway.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that either.
Mizzou,
Anyway,
Mizzou, Mizzou's not that good. They really are not in basketball, as much as I hate to say it. And when I hate to go into kind of bias for this, but it took them what 8 years to beat Kentucky for the first time in the SEC. They're not a good basketball school. You
they're not a
can't
good
lose
football
games like
school
that.
either, though.
They're not bad. They've
They're not a
made
good
bowl
football school.
games. They've won 7 games. That's decent.
That's terrible.
It's a decent.
No, 7-4 is a shitty record.
Playing in the SEC. No,
Oh, I
that's not
guess.
bad.
I guess maybe in the SEC.
Now
it's not bad.
when they didn't play in the SEC, doing something like that is very disappointing.
Yeah, like if you still play in the Big 12, like I remember whenever Mizzou played in the Big 12 and they were running through everybody and winning conference championships. I remember I was always kind of like, because guys, I live in Missouri, but I'm not a Mizzou fan. I don't hate Mizzou, but I'm not a Mizzou fan. So I remember they'd run through everybody and all these Mizzou fans would be like, yeah, and they'd win the Big 12 championship and everything and jump around and celebrate, brouhaha, and then they would play somebody important and get killed.
Yep.
And
that's
that's
where
kind
they're
of
at now.
almost what has happened to Michigan the past few years. They've beaten the teams they were supposed to be, even blown out some of those teams, but then they play the big boys and they get beat.
Yeah.
And honestly, that may be what happens this year. You know, we talk about Mizzou being, or not Mizzou, Michigan being pretty good, but they really haven't played anybody yet.
Well, yeah, you kind of gotta have that mix in the off season of one or two maybe of the bigger teams, and then you can go get the smaller teams. Make sure you got those wins in there still, kind of stack up on your confidence for the season.
Yeah, and you see, and that's how college basketball is so much better because you play the national champion most years plays 40 games.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily win 40 games, but they play 40 games. So I think that, and more oftentimes they don't win 40 games. But nope. I also think that that's what makes basketball so great is that you have that cushion. You know, if you don't start the season out well and you're in a good conference like the Big 10, the Big 12, the SEC, that's really solid in basketball, but you do okay in conference, you can still get in. Now, your seeding might not be the best, but you can still get in. And once you get in, that's all that matters. I mean, we see upsets every year.
Yeah, I witnessed it firsthand to Vandy. Let me tell you, it's not fun losing to Vandy.
Dude, I'll tell you what, that was one game that kind of surprised me, but it didn't at the same time. Like I feel like we can address the 300-pound elephant in the room right now. Kentucky was bad last year.
Oh no, we were. You go 1-6 to start the season somehow, and last season just shows how rivalry games are so important to players and coaches and fans. We barely got beat by Louisville. I mean, we were right there with them. Could have won that game. Same with North Carolina. Same with Kansas.
Well, I mean, North Carolina was not good last year. They were better than they were the year before, but they weren't good last year.
They weren't. Yeah. There's a new level of bad right now, college basketball, and it's called
Duke
Kentucky
was bad
bad.
last year. Duke was really bad last year.
Yeah, we didn't have to play Duke.
I think if Duke and Kentucky would have played last year, it'd have been whoever turns the ball over the least wins.
Considering we won our first win of the season, we won by just about 20 to Morehead State, and then came out and I don't even know what happened after that. I was feeling confident. I'm ready for college basketball, and then it went downhill quick.
Okay, so I've been there as the fan, kind of in your position where, you're grabbing at things to hold on to have hope. I've been there. At what point last year did you know, like, okay, this is it?
Well, I really didn't know it was it until kind of later into SEC play, because at the start of SEC play, obviously we started 3-0. We started hot in the SEC, and I was like, okay, maybe we're making that turnaround we need. And then we turn around and lose a couple in a row, and that's where I was like, Wow. We're actually not gonna make the tournament this year.
Okay, so like 2015-16, we were horrible. Michigan was horrible.
Yeah.
2017, we weren't great. Okay, so we in 2015, I knew probably into February that, I mean, barring winning the Big Ten, and there's always that hope, you win your conference tournament. But I knew at that point, aside from winning the Big Ten championship, we weren't getting in. Like, there was no way. 2016, I remember we going into the Big Ten tournament, and I knew then it was one of those things. You don't have to win the tournament, but you have to win a game in the tournament. You know what I'm saying? And it just so happened that that game that we had to win was against Indiana, who was number 1 and only lost like 4 games that year. So it's like, oh, brother. And we ended up winning it at the buzzer. I don't know, you see that shot sometimes, Cam Chapman, everybody like screaming at Derek Walton Jr. because he didn't shoot it. And then he passes it off to Cam Chapman, who just drills it. And then 2017, if we don't freaking crash that plane, we're not in. Because we had lost to Minnesota. We had dropped a game to Northwestern right there just at the tail end of the season. We started strong that year, but finished really bad. We ended like 4-8 in our last 12 games of conference play.
Well, with conference tournaments, you kind of gotta watch because obviously you're gonna have those teams, even if they don't win, that are already in, gonna make it in. But you have to watch those lower end teams that are lower seeds.
Look at Georgetown.
That can make big plays in the tournament. And guess what? They're gonna find their way in the NCAA tournament and have a chance.
Dude, whenever Michigan showed up to the Illinois game that year, like 20 minutes before game time in their freaking practice unis, I was like, there's no way in hell, And then we beat them by like 28. And it was like, what in the crap? But kind of like John Beeline said, he talked about this a lot in depth on his podcast, Huddle Up. He said he felt like it didn't matter if we had played Purdue, who was the number 1 team, or Illinois, who was number 9. We were either going to win that game by a lot or we were going to lose that game by a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like justifiably so. That's a pretty traumatizing thing to have happen to you. But anyway, that was like 3 years ago. I don't even know why I'm talking about it. So I hear you got some injury news, some unfortunate injury news.
Yeah, I do. Duke freshman AJ Griffin suffered a knee injury. Practicing, they said it's nothing major. He was a top 20 recruit, but he is expected to miss a month. And guess what? That would sideline him for the season opener in Madison Square Garden against the Kentucky Wildcats. It's not good news for Duke at all.
No, it's not. I don't think that AJ Griffin is their best player, but I think he's up there. I think Paulo Blanchard definitely takes that.
Yeah.
He's definitely going to make a difference, and I think it's going to take a minute maybe to see how Duke adjusts to not having him.
Yeah.
So we can talk about that for a little longer if you want. But there's something I kind of want to talk about, something that really I've been thinking about a lot, and it's Mark Few.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are pissed off right now.
Good reason, more or less.
Maybe. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't feel like there are people calling for this guy to lose his job. I don't think that's the answer.
I don't think that's the answer either.
First of all, I think there are people saying that, if he was the player, he'd be cut. No, he wouldn't. Here's how I know that. A couple years ago, okay, so basically for anybody that's basically been living under a rock for the past month, and if you're watching this, I'm sure you haven't been, Mark Few got pulled over and got a DUI, driving under the influence.
Yeah, September
Well,
6th.
Gonzaga didn't say anything for what, 3 weeks, probably 2-3 weeks about it.
Yeah, it was a little bit after.
And then they released a statement that Mark Few was suspended a game that I believe the season opener against Dixie State.
Yeah, he was suspended for the 2 exposition games, obviously,
Oh.
and then the season over.
Okay, so
And he'll return November 13th versus Texas.
okay. So a couple things here. I think for the people that are saying that he should be fired, I think that's just stupid. I really do. I think that's
Yeah.
just now. Do I think it's kind of funny a little bit that he's going to be allowed back when they start to play a big game. I think that's what's bugging people.
I mean, I'm not too surprised because obviously you want your head coach for a big game, so
And I think, I don't know. I mean, Dixie State, I mean, Gonzaga's probably going to score 100 on them, if we're being honest. Sorry, Dixie State.
oh, man, I don't know. We'll really see what is Gonzaga without Mark Few.
They played Dixie State last year, and Gonzaga scored like 117 on them.
They had Mark Few though. I'm sorry, I just have to look at the fact. I want to see what happens this year against this opening game.
They're not. Dixie State is not.
No, it's not gonna
Gonzaga.
be an upset. There's no chance. But I want to see just how good they perform without Mark Few.
Yeah. So what did Drew Timmy say something?
Yeah, actually at Craziness in the Kennel, which Mark Few also was not allowed to go to, which is pretty nuts considering. I mean, it didn't really have much to do with anything. Just one of those hype up things, just like
Yeah.
every other school's having. But Drew Timmy, surprisingly enough, at Craziness in the Kennel, decided I'm gonna talk to the crowd. I'm gonna give him something to cheer for. He said, "We're taking it all this year. Just be ready." I have some mixed emotions on this.
Drew Timmy. Golly, man, I could go off for 15 minutes right now on Drew Timmy.
I mean, you have to think. Obviously, he wants the crowd into it.
Yeah.
All year long.
But man, this is the same kid, Michael, that last year when they were getting beat by 20 by Baylor, he was flexing to the crowd and stuff like that. I'm like, dude.
Doing his mustache thing. Yeah.
Like, come on, man. You can't do that in those situations.
I do remember that, and I'm sorry, Drew Timmy. He drove me nuts. I'm not even gonna lie. He drove me nuts with that. It drove me absolutely nuts because how can you sit there and taunt the other team because you dunked on them? I mean, come on. They're beating you by 20. Just sit down 20. And be quiet.
Run down the floor and play defense.
Yeah.
I don't think Gonzaga's winning the national title this year.
I don't either.
I don't think Gonzaga's going into the tournament undefeated this year either.
I don't think they make the Final Four this year. So.
Who is your Final Four? Have we talked about that?
Yeah, we talked about it last week.
Did we? I don't remember that.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I'm not even 100% on my Final Four.
I'll tell you my Final Four. You want to hear it?
Yeah, I do want to hear this.
Michigan and nobody else matters. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. Michigan, UCLA, Duke. Texas.
You gonna put Rutgers in there?
No. I could see that though. I could see that if they get hot, and I'm not kidding.
I don't know.
You laugh at me, but I'm telling you.
Every hot team has to cool down eventually. Simple as that.
St. Louis Cardinals last week. I'm still on that.
Well, don't worry. That's what happened to many of my Kentucky teams. Many of them.
Yeah.
Hot teams cool down eventually.
I feel like I feel like my team has a tendency when they cool down, they don't just slowly cool down. They just jump off a freaking cliff.
Well, don't worry. The biggest thing right now in college basketball is going into the NCAA tournament to, win it with a lot of wins. Don't do it because you won't win. Right now, I think the average wins going in before the tournament is like 3 in a row to actually win it.
Well, it's like last year, like Michigan lost 4 games total going into the tournament. And then
Yeah,
they
see,
come out but the thing is, well, I talked about jumping off a cliff. Dude, their average margin of victory in that tournament was like 17 points before they played UCLA. And then UCLA was like,
yeah,
nope, shut the water off. And Johnny Juzang decided to have a field day with us.
Yeah, that's kind of what happens. The biggest thing going on in the tournament right now, and I don't understand because it's been going on for 9-10 years now, is losing right before the tournament starts, either in conference tournaments or right before them.
Well, like in 2019, Virginia didn't win the ACC tournament.
Yep.
In 2020, there was obviously no tournament, and Baylor didn't win their conference tournament either last year. Oklahoma State beat them.
If you go back through most of them have not.
2018, Villanova did. 2017, who won it? 2017, North Carolina.
North Carolina.
I think Duke won that year. Duke won their conference tournament that year. 2016 was Nova. I don't remember after that.
Yeah.
I know that I know that the last
Duke.
time for sure, 2015, Kentucky did, or Wisconsin did win their tournament. You know
Duke
how I know that? Because they beat us in the Duke won the national title. For some reason I think Kentucky and Wisconsin are the championship game.
No, we played in the Final Four and played. Yeah, I'm not gonna go into it. I'm not gonna go into it. It's painful.
I wanted y'all to win.
I did too. There's nothing like heading into the national championship 39-0.
Well, Gonzaga shows that it don't mean shit.
Oh no, being undefeated doesn't mean anything in the tournament if you play flat-footed.
I think Gonzaga, what happened to them this past year, and I'm going to get a lot of heat for this probably, but I don't care. They kind of, like you said, played flat-footed. They had cruised all year.
And you get beat by what, 20 in the national championship?
Actually, hold on just a second. Let me hang on. They didn't cruise. They cruised all year in the regular season, and then they got their butts saved a bunch. Well, they cruised against USC, and they got their asses saved against Oklahoma. Oklahoma should have won that game. I will go on record and say that. And then they didn't cruise against UCLA.
I think Gonzaga needs to bring in. It's been over 100 years, I think, a college football team and join the Pac-12.
Yeah, they've got to get out of the WCC. Nobody is ever going to take them very seriously unless you live in Spokane.
Yeah, you have to get out of the WCC. As simple as that. And the only way they can do it is add a football team.
They could go independent.
That'd just be. I don't think they would do that though.
But I agree. I think the WCC is not good for them. Guys, beating 20 teams by 70 plus points. Okay, not literally, but 40 plus every night. Guys, and these teams, like my high school team on a good year would compete with them.
It's sad though, because they still managed to somehow lose the WCC tournament, a year or two ago?
I thought they were going to lose it last year.
Come on.
Well, they were down by like 14 at halftime.
You're playing with a bunch of cupcakes. Kentucky could play with these guys, no problem. I would love to be in the WCC. Like, come on, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't want to be in the WCC?
Imagine some of those all-time teams in the WCC.
There'd be so many undefeated teams.
Average point totals for like the Fab Five would be 172.
Oh no, you guys might push 200. It could definitely be interesting.
Some more important games to talk about a little bit. On opening night, Oral Roberts and Colorado State play that night.
Oral Roberts is gonna be good.
Yeah,
They
they're gonna be tough.
might not be as good as last year. I think they definitely will be good. I think they can make the tournament again, and I would love to see another upset in that tournament by them.
Let's see if we can. Let's see. I'm gonna pull this up. I'm gonna see if we can maybe preview a few games on opening week, just so that we're not having to do them all at once. If that's okay with you.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's there's a lot of good games. Definitely that first week. Even mostly that first night. There's a lot of games that Tuesday night.
Hang on. Okay, here we go.
I think it'll be fun. It'll be good for college basketball. Definitely after
Arkansas
last
added a
season.
5-star small forward, Jordan Walsh.
Yeah, I think they did that yesterday. Is the other day. I saw that.
We do have a ballot. We have Jerry Carino's top 25 ballot.
I need the full preseason Monday.
There we go. We
Monday's
can do
the
like
day.
a Wednesday. Wednesday we can do like a special thing, like preseason. We can honestly probably spend like 45 minutes on that.
Oh yeah, Wednesday will be a good podcast for preseason top 25, and then it'd be right into it with college basketball in just about 3 weeks.
All right,
It's
let's
gonna be
talk about
fun.
this here. Tuesday night there is a ton.
Yeah,
And
there's
when
a
I say
lot.
Kansas and Michigan State, that's a big one.
And the Champions Classic. I don't know why I almost forgot that, because I see it every year. I almost forgot the name to it.
Let's see, Kentucky and Duke.
Yep.
Man. One to sleep on, Valparaiso and Toledo.
Open the season though. I mean, a lot of these games open in the season. You find very few actually ridiculous games that you wouldn't expect to see until later in the year. That's why I love that
Michigan does
Champions
not play on
Classic.
opening night. That's the first time. That's the first time, dude, since like 2018 that Michigan doesn't play on opening night. They do
Yes.
play. They do play the second night though, and this is a big one. This is an important one. You ready? We're gonna open the season playing Buffalo. What are you looking at me like that for?
I'm sorry. I can't get over the fact that you have teams like Kansas, Michigan State, Duke, and Kentucky opening the season against each other, and then you got Michigan over here, Buffalo. Come
Buffalo's
on,
pretty good.
come on. They're gonna be good. Yes, I agree. But come on, you gotta open it big. It's gonna be a big boom for your team. Unlike last season, opening, Kentucky opening with Morehead State. You can't do stuff like that. Your fans want to see the big games early.
Dude, I mean, look at the teams we play. Listen to the teams we play. Buffalo, Seton Hall, UNC,
Seton Hall will be a good one.
Wichita
UNC.
State, most likely Wichita State or Arizona.
Wichita State should be a good one too.
San Diego State.
Okay.
We play at UCF.
Yeah, no, it's fun. I mean, you guys have good games, definitely, but
Let's see what
I need
Kentucky has.
more. I need more. Oh shit, we got the Champions Classic and the CBS Classic.
Sorry, dude. I've got my shoulder is like hurting.
Oh no, you're fine. Someone just rang the doorbell.
Huh?
Someone just rang the doorbell.
Oh, is that what they're?
Yeah,
Tell me
there's
when you're
someone at
ready.
the door, but that's okay.
They've got Duke, they've got Notre Dame, Ohio State, Louisville. I mean, okay.
Yeah, not
Everybody
no
else is
slouch.
just kind of like, eh. Oh, here you go. Shadon Sharp, the nation's #1
Yeah,
recruit, is considering early enrollment for Kentucky.
he won't be able to play though.
Well, then we don't care, huh?
Nope. You have to wait until the next, season.
So, one more thing, and then we can kind of wrap this up. Imani Bates.
Yeah.
Did you see his numbers from Pro Day?
No, I didn't.
They were terrible. Seriously, horrendous. I'll look those up for you. Some of the worst Pro Day numbers I've ever seen.
We had some fun on Pro Day. Some guys making shots that we didn't expect. I think Amani Bates hit 11. God damn. Bryce Hopkins hit 11 threes in a row.
Ah, shoot. You got to subscribe to something to be able to look at it. Oh. It says Imani Bates measures in with negative wingspan at Memphis Pro Day.
Negative?
Yeah. His vertical
Wow.
jump. All right, here you go. You ready? His vertical jump, 24.5 inches.
What?
Yeah. His approach jump, 31.5 inches.
Yeah, Memphis has got problems over there, sounds like.
His Pro 3/4 court sprint, 3.72 seconds. That's still quite a bit, feels like to me.
Those other stats, though, kill it.
His hand, this doesn't make any sense. His hand width is 8 1/4, and his hand length is also 8 1/4.
Yeah,
that's an
I
odd.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know about that. It's kind of weird.
That's weird. Like, I don't know what happened to Imani Bates, or if he just wasn't trying or what, but
maybe he wasn't trying. I mean, 24. Obviously, that's not going to be their best, but still. Wow. That just amazes me.
But like, you scroll down and there's people with highlights, and it's like, and they're like 24.5, and it's basically him dunking. And then, but if you think about it, though, man, he's 6'9". So it's not like he has to jump high to dunk. Like, it's not like he has
but
to jump
still,
out of the gym to dunk the ball, you know?
you'd think he'd get up higher than that, though.
Yeah. Hey. I would think he would be able to. Sorry about that yawn. But so guys, that's really all. I mean, is there anything you need to talk about?
No, just kind of next week is going to be a lot of preseason poll stuff, kind of going over, looking at how we, think about it, what we think it looks like, how it should look, everything, and just getting ready for the start of the regular season. And definitely going to be talking just a little bit more football next week after to see how I did this week.
All right, man. We'll be back with you next week here on College Basketball Insider, maybe with a different name.
Maybe.
Hopefully by then I'll get my Epicam thing figured out, and it'll work good. So
it's a work in progress. It's okay.
Yeah, I need to just like buy another house and get a studio or something. That's a joke. Maybe if I get rich from this. So hey, I'm kidding. But
Hey,
guys,
you can buy one in Ann Arbor.
there you go. Hannah says no. That's my fiance, by the way, Hannah. She I mean, I know you know that, but she's like, no Michigan because it's too cold. But then
No
she's
Ann
like,
Arbor
we
for
should move
you.
to Alabama. I'm like, no, Alabama because it's
Oh
too hot.
God. Yeah. I mean, hey, if you do, you got good college football there at least.
Shut up. You have good college football in Michigan too. Some years.
Uh, you got to be at Ohio State first for me to call it good college football.
I agree wholeheartedly. I agree. But all right, guys, we'll let y'all go. We'll see y'all next week. Everybody stay safe and be looking for us. Be looking on our Twitter. We'll keep you posted on the name change. We'll keep you posted on if something like this week comes up where it was supposed to be Wednesday, ends up being Friday. So we thank y'all for your understanding, and we will see you guys next week.